Hey, how's it going, everyone? So, today I'm going to be giving my honest thoughts and opinions in a little review of the ARK animated series. Yesterday, I just finished watching the series, and honestly, I have some very interesting thoughts and opinions on this. I will have timestamps as this review will have spoilers and non-spoilers in it. So do check out those timestamps if you want to avoid hearing any spoilers. But yeah, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Okay, so basically, this review is going to consist of a few different parts. Number one, character arcs. Number two, relationship to the game. And ultimately, number three, my personal thoughts and opinions on my likes and dislikes of the game. Or not the game, this series. But I want to start with the game aspect of it. I know a lot of people. I'm gonna try to not spoil this, but it is a little different than the game, plot-wise and everything. So I will start with that little disclaimer. It is a little different than the game's plot, which I honestly don't see anything wrong with that. I honestly think the story in the animated series works just as well as the story in the video game. I think they have pretty similar goals in the end, and they accomplish those goals in a very interesting way. But regarding the series animation, I haven't watched really any animated shows quite like this before. And so the animation I found pretty interesting. I really did enjoy the voice acting. I really, if you listen to the speeches in the dossiers when you play the game, you'll hear the same characters. It has the same cast in the show as it does for the people who voice the dossiers, and it's really interesting. I really enjoy getting to see a face instead of just hearing a voice. Now being able to see a face, it's really, I'm able to understand the story a lot more instead of just hearing only a narration. Actually finally seeing someone speaking, I really do enjoy that. I think the voice actors nailed it. I really think that they did a great job playing their roles. I think one of my favorites was definitely David Tennant. His role as Rockwell was absolutely amazing. I think he was just did such a good job at portraying this. I don't want to spoil it too much, but this dark character, we'll use that word, this dark character. I think David Tennant did such a great job voicing Rockwell. But the entire rest of the cast did an amazing job. Here, let me pull them up. I don't have them memorized. Oh, David Tennant's the only one I'm familiar with. Animated series cast. Uh, yeah, I think Gerard Butler as Nerva, he did an amazing job. Karl Urban as Bob did a great job. Who else did we have? Michelle Yeoh, who played Mei Yin. She was amazing as well. And then Madeline Madden, who was Helena. Again, she was amazing. And I also really liked the character Alassie, who was voiced by Devery Jacobs. I think she did an amazing job as well. And of course, we can't forget Zahn McLaren, who voiced Thunder Comes Charging, also known as John. I think he did just an amazing job at voicing that character. I think that character is one of my favorites. I think that character and Mei Yin are my two favorites. I honestly have to say that. So regarding the character arcs, now this is where the spoilers begin, so you have been warned. This is where the spoilers begin, okay? You have been warned. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, stop watching right here, right now. So of course, Helena is our main protagonist. We know that, and I think her character arc in the first 6 episodes was very interesting, because when she wakes up on the ARK, she's, washed ashore on the beach, she meets the dodo, and then she comes across Bob. I think that she starts out as this very timid, very nervous individual. She's just completely bewildered by what's going on. She doesn't understand why she's seeing prehistoric life all around her. She's just in awe of it, but at the same time just completely overwhelmed and very, very frightened. And the way Bob helps her navigate for the little screen time he has, because like I said, this is a spoiler, Bob does get killed by Nerva's soldiers, so which is kind of unfortunate. We thought Bob would have a little more screen time, but no, he had I think 10 minutes, maybe even less. But I think as time passed, Helena just came to the realization that she's not in Sydney anymore. She's in a place that she has no idea where she's at. She has no idea who these people all around her are, until she comes to the realization that they are all from different periods of time. And Bob introduces himself as a soldier from, I can't remember if it's World War I or World War II. But yeah, introduces himself, learns that Helena is from the 21st century, asks her, hey, who won the war, because he died during the war. And Helena's like, we won the war. And Bob was just so happy to hear that news, because he, unfortunately he died during the war. And, Helena telling him that kind of gave him peace of mind in a way, knowing that his death wasn't in vain. And I really liked how Helena was able to, she didn't even know what she was doing when she told him that they won the war. She didn't even, because she herself wasn't even involved. She wasn't born. She wasn't alive during the war. And she didn't really realize how her being the most futuristic person on the island. How when she gave this information to some people, it was, gave them peace of mind of their own time, like Bob. And Bob really opened up to her when she was able to produce that knowledge. And then other characters, when she explained more the wildlife to them, when she explained how they could use resources on the island differently for like medicinal purposes, like when she comes and meets Thunder Comes Charging, aka John. She meets everyone who has swamp fever, and she explains that there could be a possible cure. And even though they think that the cure that the flowers that cure swamp fever have all been eaten, she thinks that they could have been passed on through the creature's genetics. And that knowledge helps save lives, and they realize, oh, this woman, even though as a warrior she may have an F as a warrior, she has an A+ as a scholar, as a philosopher, as a teacher. We really, really need her. She is so useful. And even Nerva acknowledges this, even though Nerva, we all know he's the number one bad guy. I think it's really interesting that even he humbly acknowledges this, even though he's, he and Helena end up becoming mortal enemies, just the fact that he acknowledges that for a brief moment. It's, very, very interesting how Helena's arc, how her character's arc just, evolved that way. No pun intended, but yeah, it's just so interesting how she was able to adapt to this new environment. She was more open-minded. She started off being pretty closed-minded, but I really liked how she became more and more open-minded as time went on. And yeah, she was, because if she had stayed closed-minded as she was, she definitely probably would have been seen as a setback to a lot of people, regardless of her knowledge. But the fact that she decided to become open-minded and listen to other people and realize, I need to learn from them just as they have asked to learn from me. I think that is a very interesting way her character has evolved in just the first 6 episodes. Alright, so moving on to Nerva. Nerva's character, Gerard Butler. Oh my gosh, he nailed this. He was just the absolute worst villain. One of the most cruel individuals out there. One of the most just self-absorbed, merciless individuals. Just so close-minded, so intent on completing his objective no matter the cost. I would compare him, honestly, I could honestly compare him to another character, probably to maybe to a degree, probably President Coin from the Hunger Games, from the Mockingjay, especially part 2, because he is just dead set on getting power. He is just so power hungry, and he's willing to kill anyone who gets in his way, even if they have not personally done anything to him. He is just so cruel. I mean, there are these people who arrive on the ARK, they have no idea what's going on. Next thing you know, he enslaves them and puts them to work, and he's just so so cruel. And he's not subtle about, like, President Coin, she was very subtle about it until she, in Mockingjay Part 2, until she killed Prim and almost killed Katniss as well. But Nerva, he does not know what subtle means. He wants to be known as just this brute, as just this savage individual. And his goal, when he finally realized he could possibly use the resources on the ARK to alter the fabric of time to make sure his Roman Empire is created in his vision and last till the end of time, like, when he finally realized he would be able to do that, like, he is just power hungry. He is insane. He's just killing people left and right, even his, own people. He doesn't care about, them getting killed. And you can just see this go on, and he is just merciless, and he has it out for Thunder Comes Charging. He has it out for Mei Yin, and he is just, oh my goodness. And his character arc is just plateaued. It is just plateaued. His only objective is to ascend off the ARK and alter the fabric of time, so where he can create his Roman Empire that will never fall. Like, I think he is just one of the most intense villains I have ever come across. Just this mindless, heartless brute who will do whatever it takes. Yeah, I honestly think he is just, my gosh. But Gerard Butler nailed it. He made this guy, oh my goodness, he made me feel this way about this guy. This guy, oh my goodness. Yeah, this was intense, and especially during the final battle in episode 6, you could see just how power hungry he was. When he let that Giganotosaurus loose that he had captured, and he let it just start killing everyone, including, people. I think it killed some of his people. I can't exactly remember if it killed some of his people or not. I'm pretty sure it did. I'm pretty sure he's the only one it never tried to attack. It was just, oh my goodness. So yeah, this guy, hardcore villain. Moving back to protagonist, Thunder Comes Charging, aka John. He is just so amazing. He's one of my favorite characters in this series. Yes, that is right. Helena is not my favorite character. I actually like some of the other characters. Helena's a good character, but I honestly think John is just really, really amazing. He is just this tender, loving father figure who wants the best for everyone. He's just willing to do whatever it takes to keep those he cares about safe. He wants to keep his daughter, a lassie, who isn't really his daughter, but he adopted her. He just wants to keep her safe. He wants to keep his people safe. And he is just so hesitant on attacking Nerva, because he had attacked Nerva once before, and so many people, and they lost the fight to Nerva. He slaughtered so many, and John, was like, we can't do this again. I don't want to see this happen ever again. We're just going to go into hiding. And they built their little sanctuary in the redwoods, and which I think was really cool. Unfortunately, we didn't see any Thylacoleo, but we did see some Megalania in the Redwoods, which was interesting. But, yeah, I think John is just this is just so selfless. All of his acts are so selfless. He puts the needs of others before his own, and he knows that no matter what he does it in the best interest of everyone he loves and cares for. And he goes through a very important change of behavior when Helena arrives, because at first he was like, we've attacked Nerva before, we're not going to do it again. And Helena meets Mei Yin before she meets John. We'll get into Mei Yin in a moment. But when Helena and Mei Yin come back to John, they just, emphasize to him, Nerva is becoming so powerful, we have to take a stand, otherwise this entire island is in danger. Every person on this island will be in danger. No matter where you go, they'll find you, they'll hunt you down, and they'll find you. And eventually John realizes he's gonna have to go back into combat, even though he doesn't want to, even though he knows it's putting the lives of his people in danger. He knows that he has no choice, that they will be in even greater danger if he doesn't fight. And I think the evolution of his character arc in the show, from being very hesitant and saying, no, we can't do this, we can't rush into anything, to, you're right, we do need to get back out there, we do need to fight, we've been hiding long enough. And I think ultimately in episode 6, and this got me so bad, when he died, when Nerva killed him in episode 6, the fact that he was able to survive just long enough after Nerva stabbed him or impaled him with his sword, he was able to make his way and get a crossbow from a corpse and loose an arrow, a flaming arrow, onto oil barrels and just blow up Nerva's camp. It's just amazing. He was just realizing, I have to do what's best for my people, and in this case it means giving up my life. And it was just so amazing at the end to see him reunited with his real family from his real time. Because after he died on the ARK, he ended up being reincarnated in the afterlife that his people believed in. And he was able to be with his actual wife and actual child. And he wrote, and it got me so bad when he wrote his death note to Alassie, because he knew he was probably going to die. And he wrote that letter to her and left it to her. And, as she was reading the letter, it jumped back and forth from his fight with Nerva, from his one-on-one fight with Nerva, to Lassie reading the letter. And when she finished reading the letters, when Nerva finally killed him, it was just so deep. But that just shows how humble he was, and that was just amazing to see. That was just so amazing to see his character go from being selfless in the way of, protecting his people without engaging, to coming to the realization, I can't hide forever. Sort of like Helena went from the realization, I can't not kill people forever. He realized, I'm gonna have to get back into battle. And even though he died, I think he just did so much. And I think when he died and was reunited with his real wife and child that he had actually lost when he died in the real world, I think that was just amazing. I think that was a wonderful way to end his arc, to end his character's arc. And yeah, for him to just come full circle. So yeah, John is definitely one of my favorite characters. Thunder comes charging. Now, regarding Mei Yin, i.e. the Beast Queen, i.e. the lady who refuses to die until her enemies are dead, because in ancient China she was shot 50 million times with arrows, yet she still managed to get to her enemy and stab him to death before she died herself. Mei Yin, she's badass. That's what she is. And she is just so interesting because she is similar, yet she's a little more... She's just like John, but in a different context. She is protect people, and although you should protect the ones you love, you should definitely fight your enemy to the death until the end of it. You should not retreat. You should definitely fight until the end of it, which is what she did when she was still alive. And that's what she tried to do here on the ARK. But when the Alliance fell to Nerva, they blamed Mei Yin for it because they said she had bad tactics, poor planning. She chose fighting over protecting others, and yeah, just she became public enemy number one on the island until she got a chance to redeem herself with Helena, when she saved Helena from some of Nerva's henchmen. And she is just like any T-Rex she comes across, she can instantly tame, except for Nerva's. Nerva's is the only exception, but yeah, she's just amazing. And in episode 2, I did not expect them to introduce the Broodmother in episode 2. But the way she was able to take out the Broodmother, that was pretty dang epic. That was really, really cool. Of course, Helena, she was the brains and got the Broodmother distracted long enough for Mei Yin to go in and kill the Broodmother. But it was just so cool watching Mei Yin's, all of her action scenes. And then in episode 6, it was so sad to see how she was just this close to killing Nerva in episode 5, and then Rockwell tranquilized her, and she could have ended Nerva's reign of terror if it weren't for Rockwell. But Rockwell tranquilized her. They took her back to Nerva's base, and they just beat her mercilessly. And she was just... And they baited her, so when Helena went in to rescue her, all of Nerva's thugs were there. Rockwell was there. They were all there to kill Helena and kill John, everyone. But Mei Yin, luckily for her, she was able to get saved, even though John ended up dying to Nerva. Helena was able to get Mei Yin out of there safely. And ultimately, I just think Mei Yin just so bold and just so determined. Like, the odds could be 100% against her. It could be impossible for her to win a fight. But she just refuses to go down. And I think that's pretty interesting how her character is just developed that way. But when she meets Helena, her character changes and she realizes that, it's not all about just fighting. We fight for a cause, and this is the real cause. You have to, Mei Yin's all about don't hesitate, which is something Helena always does, which is very annoying. Helena has the chance to stop something bad from happening, and she hesitates. And Mei Yin loses respect for Helena briefly, but then Helena regains her respect because she's like, I'm sorry, please train me. I need to learn not to hesitate. And Mei Yin admires that about Helena. And ultimately, she just starts to realize there's more to fighting than just fighting. You have a cause, and she's able to finally have a deeper understanding of the cause, I think, because Helena is just the ethical individual there to make Mei Yin realize, hey, we're doing this for a cause. And Mei Yin just won't listen to John because they have a history, but she does listen to Helena because she doesn't know anything about Helena. Helena's brand new. She knows nothing, but she just, it's just so interesting how her character, again, all these characters evolve, no pun intended, but they all evolve in these first 6 episodes alone. And it's really, really cool to see that. I think, and especially the way Mei Yin evolved, I think she's not showing weakness, but admitting that, but coming to realize that that showing emotion is not weakness, it's actually strength. I think that is very admirable because she now has a greater definition of what weakness is, and she understands emotion is not weakness. So I think that's very helpful for her to learn that from her interactions with Helena. And of course, our last character we're going to touch on, I'm not going to touch on Lassie or any of the others because even though they're important characters, they're not as critical, they're not as much main characters in the first 6 episodes. But Rockwell is definitely by far the most despicable individual in my opinion. Nerva is absolutely disgusting, but I think Rockwell is equally, if not more, disgusting than Nerva because he has no empathy for human life. He only cares about having power, and he understands that he can use his intelligence to manipulate Nerva into Nerva thinking, oh, if I don't have Rockwell, I will fall. But that's exactly what, Rockwell wants him to think, because in that way, he can keep, he can in a way have power over Nerva without Nerva realizing it. And I honestly think some of the stuff Rockwell does, just willingly saying, hey, here's a T-Rex, get that slave and feed him to it. Like when the boy gets fed to the T-Rex in the first episode right in front of Helena's eyes. Helena knows the kid for like a minute or 2 minutes, and the next thing you know, Rockwell has Nerva's henchmen just grab the kid out of their cage that they're locked up in, and just has the T-Rex just slowly eat the kid, just to horrify Helena. Rockwell is public enemy number 1- probably number 1-B. Nerva's 1-A, Rockwell's 1-B, just because of just how heartless he is. He's heartless just like Nerva, but instead of having brawn, he's all brain. And he knows that he doesn't need brawn to be powerful. And he's just this very well-educated scientist. He's developed narcotics, he's developed tranquilizers. He used those tranquilizers to prevent Mei Yin from killing Nerva in episode 5. And he tried to use it again in episode 6, and I was like, no, don't trank him again. But then I think it was Mei Yin. No, it wasn't Mei Yin. She was really badly injured. She couldn't have done. I think it was John or Helena or one of the other members of John's tribe who just came through and just cut off his arm. I was just like, whoa, they cut off his arm? And it was so graphic too. I mean, there was so much gore in this show. But yeah, the fact that they they're finally able to defeat Rockwell in a way without defeating him, that was kind of like, yes, we won. But it was just Rockwell throughout this whole thing. He was just such a menace. I mean, he's just pure evil. And he absolutely never had any remorse for any of the actions he or Nerva took. He's just like, oh, someone died, I don't care. Oh, I get to kill someone, I don't care about them, And it was just so gruesome. Just his mentality. And his character changed a little. I think as time went on, he came to realize that he needs to maybe find a way to get power over Nerva, but he just doesn't have the resources. But I think he came to that realization when he was finally able to invent the tranquilizer and the narcotics. I think that he realized that he might be able to defeat Nerva and, not to help anyone, but to help himself alone. So, yeah, he is just absolutely just a horrible, horrible villain. And, just absolutely a disgusting human being. I knew he was a bad guy in the game, but, in the game he starts off as like Helena's friend to a degree, but here absolutely not. He's nice to Helena for maybe 1 second, and then bam, he absolutely hates her and wants to either enslave her or kill her. Like, he is just, yeah, one bad villain. Well, I think that's just about gonna do it for my series review. I mean, I think this show, I really had a good time watching the first 6 episodes. I'm really excited to see what comes next. I know it left off with a Scorched Earth cliffhanger. So I'm really interested in seeing how that works, but I'm also very interested in just seeing how, just seeing all the other developments and changes. I was very happy that they included one boss fight, in the first 6 episodes, so I'm expecting the Megapithecus and the dragon to be coming up soon. in the next 7, I believe, episodes. Yeah, it's going to be 7 more episodes. We don't have an exact release date for them, though. So I get a feeling that this series is going to be sort of like a Stranger Things thing, where you just get a handful of episodes and then you have to wait forever for the next few episodes. But yeah, that's essentially my review. I know this is a bit of a longer video, and I know I focus mostly on character development, but it's just, that's pretty much what this video was, character development, because yes, there were dinosaurs in it, but there was more character development than anything else. And I think it was really well done. I think that the animation style was very interesting, very unique. I do think I'll give it maybe a 7.5 out of 10, just because I think they focused a bit too much on, maybe just a bit too much on Helena's backstory, whereas the other characters, they got a backstory as well, but theirs wasn't as long. They focused mostly on Helena, and I understand that Helena's the main character, but at the same time, I feel like it's a disservice to the other characters not putting as much emphasis on their backstory. But does make sense if they're not going to be with us that long. However, if they are going to be with us for a while, then it would make more sense to put more emphasis on their backstories as well. I also think the episodes should have all been the same length. The pilot was like 45 or 50 minutes long, while episodes 2 through 5 were like 25-30 minutes. And then episode 6 was about 40 minutes long. I think all the episodes should have been the same length. And if they were all meant to be short, then they should have released more than 6 episodes. So, for example, if the pilot was meant to be longer than the rest of the episodes, then they should have released, the long pilot, which was 45 to 50 minutes long. And then the additional 5 episodes, if they were all, 25-30, they should have done more than 5 episodes. They should have done maybe released, instead of a total of 6 episodes, including the pilot, maybe a total of 8 or 9 episodes, including the pilot. Or they should have just made the episodes longer, because I feel episodes that are like that are just too condensed. That is just way too compact for a story this deep, because this isn't something like, what's a good reference? SpongeBob, for example, where you have those really short episodes, because they don't build on each other. Those episodes don't build on each other. These do. So I honestly think they should have made these longer, whereas SpongeBob, you have 2 episodes, each one's 11 minutes long, for a total of, 22 minutes, but you have your commercials that makes it a total of 30 minutes. Whereas here, it should have been a minimum of 40 minutes per episode. So yeah, that's my number one complaint. I see nothing wrong from diverging from the original story. I think that it's, very healthy, and plus you have to remember this is on Paramount Plus, so Paramount Plus may have had a say in the story. They may have said, we don't want to go exactly with the video game, we want to change it up a bit. So, you have to take that into account. But I think that's pretty much all I'm gonna say. I also like the diversity of characters. I also like that they included LGBTQ characters, and they included characters of different ethnicities. I really do think that's very healthy for film and television to do, especially in days like these where there's just so much racism and bigotry going on. If you create a TV series that has characters who are in minority groups, I think it's very healthy just to expose all these different cultures, and just so we all get a feeling of each character's background. And even though, you know, we like or dislike some characters, not just, you know, my thoughts on these characters, it's not based on their background, but it's based on who they are as an individual. So not based on their culture, but who they are as an individual, because your culture doesn't identify you, you identify you. And it's honestly something that a lot of people don't really think about when they see shows with so many different ethnicities, so many different backgrounds. They don't realize, oh, it's not the culture that creates these really good characters or really evil characters. It's that individual themselves who decide to go down that dark path. Because like Nerva and Mei Yin, both of them are warriors, but they as individuals chose to go down that path, and they get to choose whether or not, you know, they decide for themselves, this action is a good action, this action is a bad action, even though ultimately it doesn't define the culture as a whole. So I think that's a very good takeaway, to understand that even though Nerva is just an absolute monster, his entire culture may not have been that way, because he's from ancient Rome. So could have been a lot of Romans like that. There could have been Romans who weren't like that. Because ultimately, you are your own self. Okay? Who you are does not define your culture. And what your culture is does not define you. So I think that's something that's really important to understand when you're watching this. But yeah, I think that's just gonna do it. Yeah, oh my goodness, I went on for almost an hour here. Well, this is as long as the episode, as the pilot episode. So I'm gonna cut it off here. Oh my gosh, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys stuck with it. But yeah, if you have Paramount Plus, I encourage you to check out this series. It's very interesting. If you're looking for the Broodmother boss fight, that is episode 2. And if you're looking for a very emotional episode, I would recommend the pilot and episode 6. I think those are the 2 that were the most emotional for me. But yeah, with that being said, I will see you guys next time.